Watching us on our stream this afternoon, we were talking about, again, the Northern Lights. You may have seen it last night. Just an epic show across many locales and many locations here across the lower 48. So, again, the viewers, you guys have sent in some great pictures. We've got some time lapse. We've got pictures from across the U.S. Just some awesome stuff for you on the show here today. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. It is time once again for the 10 Tampa Bay stream. All right, let's start off with some of those pictures here because they have been fantastic across the area and elsewhere as well. So we can pump a couple of those pictures up and we'll take a look here. First one from Joe in Brooksville, and yeah, the Northern Lights just looking fantastic, looking awesome here. This is from Suzanne in Spring Hill. Look at the hue there. Look at the oranges and the reds, and I love the green there from Colleen in Bayonet Point. So you know, oof, that is an awesome shot, Colleen. So thank you for sending that in and sharing that with us as well. Another vantage point here, some purple in the sky, and as we move towards Webster, and Sarah sent this one in, great picture there as well. So the Northern Lights just looking fantastic. Many of these pictures a little further north of us here in Tampa and St. Pete as we moved on up towards up towards Polk County and then further northward as well. So all in all, great looking stuff, and the Northern Lights, such a beautiful celestial skyscape, no doubt, and just a rare treat, and I'm glad we got to see it with those clear skies. We're looking at Wilmington, North Carolina as well. So Wilmington looking pretty good. Southeastern North Carolina, beautiful spot there in Wilmington, sort of on the intercoastal. You go over the intercoastal and you're in Wrightsville Beach. So a great spot there in southern North Carolina, and the Northern Lights just looking fantastic in southern North Carolina also. So many locations across the U.S. saw the Northern Lights, just some epic stuff. And again, I'm glad that the viewers were able to send it in, and they look fantastic. All right, live look around here, and looking fantastic. Downtown Tampa, St. Pete looking good. Tons of sunshine, and you probably noticed it today. You know, we actually felt a little bit better here today. It wasn't as bone-chilling cold this morning, although we did break a couple of records. St. Pete breaking a record this morning as well, and also up towards Brooksville breaking a record as well. So a couple spots, that cold air has just had some depth to it. Lakeland looking awesome at the hour. Armature Works looking great. Tampa International, Clearwater looking fantastic also. All right, so 68 degrees is where we're at now. That dew point's still really low, 41. The humidity, 37%, so the humidity's low. Just a gorgeous day here, and lots of sunshine. Pressure still pretty high, although it's dropping a little bit, but right around 30.21, so high pressure in place. A little more of a northeastern wind as we make our way out here, as we slide in towards 6:30, 63 degrees, moving through your future cast at about 10:30 tonight. We've got temperatures that are in the mid-50s, so all in all, still on the milder side. So we're not going to see a dramatic drop in temperatures to some extent like last night, but certainly like Monday night into Tuesday morning. Last night, was certainly chilly. It was cold this morning, but for the most part, not as bad and not as far-reaching, perhaps, as the cold that we had Monday night into Tuesday morning. All right, so speaking of Thursday morning, tomorrow morning, 67 at 10 o'clock in the morning. So a nice little pop in the temperatures, not quite as cold as early, and those numbers are moderating a little bit more quickly. By 2 o'clock, we're in the mid-70s, going for a high, going up to what will likely be 75. That's probably more than likely our high for the day. And as we head in towards Friday and into Saturday, those highs will climb even more. And then our temperatures will fall back and scale back a little bit. By 10:20 Thursday evening, we're at 61 degrees with that north wind at about 7. And then as we move in towards Friday, we've got temperatures starting out in the mid-50s. So that's kind of where we'll be. We'll kind of have overnight lows in the mid-50s, high temperatures well into the 70s to near 80 degrees next couple of days. A very kind of normal temperature setup after coming off a very abnormal, record-breaking go over the last couple of days here. So the Arctic chill, the Canadian Express, the polar vortex, whatever you want to call it, that is a thing of the past here. And that was an early season shot of just full-on cold. So we're not going to have to deal with that, thankfully, for a while. Hopefully not until, we get into the throes of winter, not until January or maybe February when we see those temperatures, or at least temperatures close to that, come back. All right, so as we move through this afternoon, West Chase about 67 degrees here, Lutz at about 68, so for currently, McDill at about 69, so better than where we were. Valrico at about 70, Plant City at 70 degrees. So the numbers, they are a little bit milder, certainly, than where we were yesterday, which is great. Zephyr Hills at 67, Dade City at about 70 degrees. So the numbers are, in fact, warmer than where we were. Seminole at 64. So even as you get closer to Clearwater and closer to the beach, Dunedin at 63, we're definitely on the milder side compared to where we were yesterday. Still below where we should be, though, for this time of year. So we're going to see these temperatures climb and get back to where we should be. Let's expand that view just a little bit and notice that we've got temperatures in the upper 60s, low 70s. Very, very kind of consistent here. You head a little further southward. Once you get south of Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota, you're at 70, Arcadia at 73, Sebring at about 71. So there are a handful of 70s out there. And check this out. If you thought it was warmer today than yesterday, you are not wrong. We are to the plus side of 13, 14 degrees. At the hour here, so that is a step in the right direction no matter how you slice and dice it. Crystal River, 7 degrees warmer. Keep in mind, both mornings in Crystal River and in Brooksville, those temperatures, if not record-breaking, were very, very close. It was record-breaking today in Brooksville, but I have to go back and check on yesterday. Zephyr Hills, 14 degrees warmer now than where we were yesterday. Winter Haven, 14 degrees warmer than where we were at this time yesterday. And look at Sebring, 16 degrees to the plus side. All right, radar shot, pretty quiet, as you might imagine. We've got lots of sunshine outside, higher pressure building in. It's this area of high pressure which is doing a good job at keeping things really, really quiet for us. High pressure is sinking and settling air, and when air sinks and settles, it doesn't form cloudiness or cloud coverage, and as a result, we often see these blue sky days with high pressure in control, and that kind of drives our weather, which is certainly fantastic. Speaking of our area of high pressure, there it is. This thing's going to kind of dance around the Gulf a little bit over the next couple of days. Always in the picture a little bit and always sort of in control of our weather a little bit, which is fantastic news. So as this high sort of meanders, does a little do-si-do there in the Gulf of Mexico. So once it does, we'll be talking about, still under the influence of it, which is great. It's a fair weather system. It's sinking and settling air, and when it sinks and settles, it doesn't form cloudiness. So we like it to hang out and be around, and it is. So it's in a good spot. No hurry to get it on out of here. That's that ridge of high pressure over a good chunk of the eastern portion of the U.S. So all in all, that is controlling our weather, which is definitely a nice thing as compared to the colder temperatures, and we're pushing that cold air back thanks in part to the jet stream retreating and a ridge of higher pressure building in. This ridge of higher pressure will keep things really quiet, and this more localized high over the Gulf, that's contributing as well. What is also, as you might imagine, pretty epic, dew point temperatures in the 30s, 40s, getting closer to 50, frostproof at about 50, but look at that. Brooksville, a dew point temperature of 25 degrees. That is so incredibly low. Zephyr Hills at 33, Land O'Lakes at 37, St. Pete at about 41. So all in all, super dry. So you may have to hit up the moisturizer a little bit and double down on that because we've got a lot of dry air in place. Now, thankfully, the winds are light. So yesterday we had that red flag warning in place, not so much today. So that's not a concern. Because the winds have dropped out considerably. So, we still have the dry air, which is in place. We don't have the winds, which is good because it makes for a really nice day and decreases the wildfire threat. So we like that. The humidity trend, as you might imagine, as our temperatures are going up, the humidity is going up as well. So we're going to see these numbers climb into the low 50s, but still super duper comfortable regardless. So whether it's 53 or 43, still really comfortable. So we're going to sort of vacillate a little bit there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday from the lower 50s here to the perhaps mid 50s at times. So really not much of a jump, not much of a departure really any of those days. We're predominantly staying in the 50s, so that will continue the gorgeous weather, the low humidity weather, and lots of sunshine for all of our weekend activities coming up, which is fantastic news as we get a little closer to the weekend. All right, so speaking of winds, for the most part, they're on the calmer side to to 5, 6 miles an hour maybe out of a north, if not northeast wind direction. So regardless, I think just the lightness, if you will, or lack of wind is a good thing, and we're certainly benefiting from that today. All right, we'll talk more about it coming up. Thanks for watching and tuning in here on our 10 Tampa Bay stream and 10 Tampa Bay Plus. We'll have a lot more coming up on the other side of the break. We'll be right back.
Before hurricane season hits, it's time to prep your home. Familiarize yourself with where your water shutoff valve is located. If backflow prevention devices are installed, get them tested annually.
Those are some great tips, and Cool Today is here to help you weather the storm. For over 60 years, we've been here to help Floridians with their cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. We can help you prepare, protect, and repair your home. Call 888-40-TODAY.
I was driving when a Ford pickup truck barreled into me from behind, sending me to the hospital.
I knew my husband was going to need an excellent attorney, so I called Dan Newland.
I'm so glad my wife called Dan. Dan really fought for me. He won my case and got me $650,000.
If you've been involved in a car accident, allow me to fight for you. Call me now at 813-888-8000.
Thanks, Dan, for winning my husband's case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. Unique quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Weather Impact Live. I am meteorologist James Gregorio. Let's take a live look in New York now, and you know what? It's snowing out there. It's something we don't get much of here in Florida, thankfully. Saranac Lake, beautiful little town, eastern side of New York State here, north of the capital region. That part of the state sort of sandwiched in between a couple mountain ranges. You have the Catskills to the south, you have the Adirondacks to the north where Saranac Lake is, and very, very close to Lake Placid. So you may have remember that town or that small city from the 1980 Olympics. They hosted the 1980 Winter Olympics, and that looks a little Olympic-y out there right now. Some snow coming down on the ground, not snowing too heavily, maybe just a few flurries here. The roadways look great. That's a little dusting for upstate New York. That's a little chip shot for them, so they're not too worried about that. Just enough on the roofs and things of that nature to make it look festive. Throw in some Christmas lights, and boy, that would look really, really nice. So gorgeous stuff there. All right, so we're taking a look at some video here as well. West Virginia, that doesn't look so festive here. You've got snow-covered roadways. That's never a good thing. And blowing and drifting snow over that roadway there in West Virginia as well. So snow slamming portions of the northeast of the I-81 corridor, more so affecting West Virginia over the I-81 corridor. If you go down 81, you drive through a smidgen of West Virginia before you get back into Virginia. Warren, PA as well here, so central and western portions of Pennsylvania. Yeah, there's some decent snow. Look at that. That's what happens to snow here when it sits on the concrete and the pavement and on the ground, turns brown when cars go driving over it. Shoveling the sidewalks. Oh, I am not going to miss that. Buffalo, New York. Buffalo, eh? You're looking good. Again, that's a chip shot for the hardy, amazing folks in Buffalo. A little bit covering portions of the bench there. And looking festive here. They had some lake effect snow. Buffalo, Niagara Falls as well. So, a few inches there. But they're pros up there with the snow. So that's barely going to get their attention, just an inch or two on the roadways. But of course, folks are driving more cautiously. Walking around that roadway there in Niagara Falls looks fantastic. So looking great there. And it looks like it's probably melting on contact. It's been relatively warm up there. This cold snap was enough to produce the snow, but not necessarily on the warmer surfaces to get it to stick. But in Fulton, New York, it is clearly sticking. And, folks are shoveling out. So nice little roundup here of taking a little tour of upstate and western New York from Fulton and in towards Buffalo and in towards Erie County there. So even the pigeons kind of like, what's going on here? A little early for this, no doubt. So, hey, our sister station in Burlington, Vermont is covering the snowy weather there as well, which for many people was much more than they expected. Take a look.
Ann and BJ Bombard were out all morning shoveling their driveway.
It's kind of in sticker shock right now.
They knew snow was coming, but didn't expect this much.
Thought we'd be able to probably just push it away easy in the morning, but turned out it was heavy, mushy snow and much more of a chore than we expected.
They say this much snow came earlier than they thought it would.
You got a nice car over there cleaning it off.
Hold on. Yeah, usually I have it in before the snow so it doesn't get salt. But Mother Nature beat me to it.
The snowfall caused traffic trouble for some. Thomas Fleury works in Heinsberg and says it took him double the time to get home Monday night.
I did find some freezing rain and a little snow. It was pretty, but it was prettier when I got home and watched it from inside of my house than it was through the windshield.
Luckily, he got his snow tires on ahead of the storm.
Vermont, we know how to do snow. It's a survival thing, and we know how to cope and to get our snow tires on early for the most part.
But for others, the snow beat the tire changeover. Handy's Auto Shop tells us they were towing cars through the evening.
We picked up a couple more left from last night that we didn't have time to get them. Yeah, it was a very busy night last night.
Charlie Handy says the road blockages pose difficulties for the tow trucks to get to people in need.
Took me almost an hour and a half to go 3 miles. So the tow truck have the same issues as everybody else. You know, we try to get there as fast as safely as we can. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but we usually get there and get them out.
He says they're expecting busy business for the next few days with people coming in to get their snow tires.
All right, 'tis the season, right? Hey, a couple key takeaways from that story. You heard the older gentleman talking about the snow. He referred to it as heavy and mushy. There's a term for that. That's called cardiac snow, because there have been many, many instances of folks shoveling that heavy, moisture-laden snow and actually having heart attacks and over strenuous activity, and so hence the name cardiac snow. So that's sort of an unofficial official name to it. With the snow. And of course, he also talked about, I like to get my car in before the salt. He's referring to the salt they put on the roads to treat the roads when we get a snowfall like that, or to kind of make it less slippery and therefore treat it. In some states, like Colorado, it's illegal to use salt on the roads. They use sand. So they don't try and melt it. They just try to give you a little bit of extra traction. All right, so here's the story here. 850 millibar temperatures, and the cold air is going to get pushed on out of here. Warm air is going to reign supreme. We're bringing it back across Florida, which is great here, and we're going to enjoy much milder temperatures, no more record-breaking cold, and certainly nothing like the folks in upstate and western New York and Vermont have been dealing with. We'll talk more about it coming up. We're going to take a quick short break. Hope you stay with us. We'll be back with much more.
I was involved in a very bad car accident. Called attorney Dan Newland, and it was like 1, 2, 3. Dan really got it done for me. At the end of my case, he got me $525,000.
As one of the largest personal injury law firms in the United States, my team and I remain committed more than ever to win big on your case. Involved in a car accident? Let's get started. Call me at 813-888-8000.
Thank you, Dan, for winning my case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. Unique quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
With a fresh new look and over 60 years of keeping Floridians comfortable, Cool Today is the name to trust for fast same-day service. Cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Our friendly expert technicians take the hassle out of home repair today. And Cool Today is here for you tomorrow, too. That's why we're introducing a parts and labor warranty on select AC systems for a lifetime. For cooling, plumbing, or electrical service, get the best from today and for years to come. Cool Today.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am 10 Tampa Bay meteorologist James Gregorio, Weather Impact Live with you here. And we're going to displace the cold air. We're going to bring the warm air back in play. And that warm air is going to carry us through the remainder of the week and into the upcoming weekend. Let's check it out here. And again, this is the upper air pattern. Notice the cold air as we move in towards tomorrow, sort of dipping down there in through portions from Winnipeg, Canada, down in towards our nation's capital. That cold air will start to get displaced, and the warmer air, the ridge of warmth, will continue to surge through the Intermountain West and move further northward here, and that warm air will continue to spread off to the east. It can do that because that river of air, the jet stream at about 30,000 feet, notice the blue getting displaced and pushed further to the north, and in doing so, the warm air kind of reigns supreme, kind of filling that void where the cooler and colder air was. Notice by Monday, that jet stream time tries to take a little dip back south, nowhere near as south as North Florida, nowhere near as progressive and digging as south as what we had with that Canadian air that surged all the way down in towards Florida. So again, it will get cold though through the upper Midwest in areas like Chicago, St. Louis, Cincinnati, even into DC and perhaps as far south as maybe Richmond and Petersburg, Virginia, but none of that for us. All right, so anyway, looking great, lots of sunshine, clear skies, nothing to worry about here. So we're really kind of shaping up well. And wind chills, yeah, what about those wind chills? Remember how cold it was wind chill wise here tomorrow? Not bad. You know, yeah, we're going to add a little element to it. In Tampa, it might feel like 48, Orlando at 46, Homosassa at 51. But for the most part, not too bad here. I think we're doing okay. So lingering cold sort of in towards tomorrow morning, sort of. We'll call it a lingering chill. Not exactly a bone-chilling cold, but through the end of the week, guess what's back? Remember I talked about that area of high pressure that's kind of like hovering around the Gulf? Well, it is going to move around a bit. There is a bigger, stronger high, which you see there. That one is going to continue to provide sinking and settling air, kind of force the air around it further northward here, helping to facilitate and build that ridge in. And in doing so, we get warmer and we're dry. Beach forecast for this weekend looks pretty good. You know, we've got high temperatures into the upper 70s, perhaps a little cooler with any sea breeze that might develop, but for the most part, I think we're shaping up really nicely and really well and looking good if you're heading to the beach. All right, forecasted low temperatures, not bad. 40s and 50s. You may say, I don't know about that. That's a little chilly. Lakewood Ranch at 49, Apollo Beach at 45, Mulberry at 44, Lakeland at 43. So yeah, that is a little chilly. Polk City at 42. So some locations at 50 or better, but equally, if not more, into the 40s as we wake up tomorrow morning. So about 51 in Tampa overnight. Cool night, mainly clear, cool if not